So today we are looking at the Y series, and the Y series for why we have upgraded the suspension on the Ford Ranger Wildtrak to cope with the Alu-Cab Canopy Camper. And this is all to do with constant load, because the vehicle is changing essentially from just a pickup truck that will carry temporary loads to something that will be having a constant load on the vehicle, and that's exactly what we are looking for now. So when we start looking at this, obviously we've got the upgrades that we have to consider, but these upgrades are going to add more weight to the vehicle, and that will be a front bar, a rear bar. When we start talking about the long range fuel tank, we're adding extra fuel onto the weight of the vehicle. Even the tires and the wheels, if we're increasing the size, we may be increasing the weight. Perhaps having a enlarged water tank to carry water, and even a larger leisure battery in the back as well. All of these will be adding weight to the vehicle. So what we have to consider is what is the actual legal weight that the vehicle can carry, and what we have to do is to check the suspension to see how much of this will have an impact on the vehicle, because driving on the roads with a constant load, particularly with a canopy, we may be changing the center of gravity as far as the height and the weight is concerned, because there may be more of a load going higher in the vehicle, and we have to be careful as we're going around corners, going around bends, and how much it leans and how much support is in place. So here's some figures for you. Let's have a little look. These are just general figures at the moment. You can see these are just for the actual Ford Ranger. But what's important is the weight. So let's have a little look. The weight of the vehicle, and this is around about 2,200 kilograms. This is just the bare weight of a Ford Ranger Wildtrak vehicle. But what will happen is when we add on the extra bits and pieces, the gross vehicle mass is 3,200, and that's for the canopy and every other bits and pieces. But of course, there is something else as well, which is called the gross combined mass, and that's if you can add a trailer to it and add bits and pieces that the vehicle will pull. So you can see three different weights, and this is going to be important to recognize when we're starting to look at the suspension and what the upgrades will be. So what you'll be looking at in these videos is why we needed to upgrade the leaf springs to heavy duty constant load leaf springs. Because when we look at all of the additions added to the vehicle, we're talking around about 900 kilograms to be added to the weight of the vehicle, to be carried to the vehicle. But that, although that is in the actual constant load of the vehicle as far as it travels and going around the corners, what will be important is that it's a heavy load that will be there on a continuous basis. So the actual constant load of the vehicle now needs to be upgraded as well. So the heavy duty springs that we've got will increase this constant load that we can carry to make the vehicle safe. So before I give you the specific details of the suspension that I used and the shock absorbers that I used, let's just clarify the GVM, the gross vehicle mass, which we've already stated is 3,200 or thereabouts, 3,200 kilograms for the Ford Ranger and any other additional upgrades that you will make to the vehicle. So what that really means on the ground is this, that the whole car has been designed to operate safely. Perhaps we could be more specific with the brakes, for example, the design of the brakes, braking distance, the way in which the car operates safely, and the way in which the manufacturer actually manufactures the vehicle. 3,200 kilograms is the actual mass and the maximum mass that the vehicle should be when it's driving on the road. So what needs to happen is that you go anywhere near that, and there's obviously an awareness that you need to have that you are nearing the limits of what is the safe requirements to operate that vehicle on the road, particularly perhaps the brakes and the braking distance. So what was important for us is that we needed to review the suspension, and particularly the way in which the vehicle was being handling on the road. Okay, let's have a little look now at some specifics about the actual suspension itself. So the shock absorbers are pretty heavy duty. Basically, what I needed was to make sure that wherever we were on our drive around the world, that the car would handle safely and be very aware of what kind of problems we would have. Particularly I was thinking about corrugated roads in some of the off-road areas that we'll be going in, and having some really strong, the strongest I could get hold of as far as shock absorbers is concerned, was going to be important, and perhaps minimizing the maintenance as well if possible. And so I got hold of these, which are the Foam Cell Pro. This is from Ironman, and again you will see some of the specifications. Absolutely outstanding specifications, and really top of the range. And let's have a little look at the specifics all together now. What does that really mean between the shock absorbers and the actual vehicle itself with the leaf springs? And so just to end, here's the details of the specifics, what they actually will do in the sense of how they'll perform as far as details are concerned. And yeah, absolutely very happy at the moment. We've had them on for around about 6 months, and they're looking good with a bit of a few test runs. So this is where we're going to go, and hopefully this will suffice for what we want to do and plan ahead. So there you go. Look out for the next video in the Y series, and I trust you had this was helpful to all of you out there.